We've got a forum. President, it's 8:06. Call this meeting of the Municipal Building Committee for September 12th, 2024 to order. First thing is public forum. I know we do have Ian Rock here who would like to address the group. Ian, do you want to sit there? You want to talk to the committee?
Well,
Open forum.
what I was concerned about is you had two plans. And one plan has dropped upstairs, and you're gonna have to put an elevator. I live in Orchard Hill, we put an elevator into our clubhouse. 14 years ago, it cost $90,000. I can't imagine what it must cost today. And I'm concerned why we have to have a second plan. I know the decision has been made, but I wanted to make that point.
No, just so I can tell you, no decision has been made on which way we're going. We still have the architects that are presenting everything to us. So, you know, again, we've made no decision on whether it's going to, which building we're going with.
I understand that, I just want to make it clear, you all understand that.
Okay.
Why spend maybe $200,000? That's, I don't want to mention that.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Next thing is review of past meeting minutes from August 22nd, 2024. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the minutes.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Did we have any comments, corrections, Rod?
I had one comment I think I sent to you, and that was at the meeting, it was, the notes from the meeting suggested that we didn't want to go to town meeting with any article, and that the board agreed with it. I don't think we've reached that conclusion.
We have not, so we can adjust that.
I'll remove the committee agreed.
Okay.
That's what Christie said was.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very good.
Okay. With that correction added in, we have a motion. Second. Okay. All those in favor? Flag? Yes, and one abstention. Okay. Next thing is presentation from BFE.
So Arthur and I'm Lauren Mitchell from BFE Current 30%. Kind of, this is very similar to what we presented at the Board of Selectmen. We threw in, for context, some of our previous plan options just to kind of show where we started, kind of where we've gotten to, and we have the renders that we developed at the end with context to show you an idea of what the buildings would look like for the two options. So running through the first option, which was the renovation in addition to the existing building. You know, we've been massaging the plan and the structure to kind of come up with a concept of what it would look like. And this option really kind of focuses on maintaining that historic structure, restoring them back to what it previously looked like and having them be the focal point as you're driving down the street. And then the addition in the back is a lot smaller in scale, so it's not competing with that structure in terms of height, since there's no second story anyways. We don't want to, you know, have a lot of unusable space or volume. So our approach here was kind of to make it, you know, seem smaller in scale, more like a built-in porch, have some flat roof space there because we're going to have a lot of equipment from the kitchen up there, and to kind of minimize all these different pitches coming in. So we're looking from Main Street as you approach the entrance to the golf course. And then we kind of have an image from the opposite corner, so as you enter that parking lot, looking at the front of the building and then back towards the golf pro shop behind. I mean, it is very similar in layout to what's existing in the organization. You know, you have the main house, the main restaurant entrance in the middle. That's kind of, you know, been massaged to be a lot more visible to the restaurant user as they're coming out so they know where to enter. Back house kitchen space that would be screened, and then golf club towards the rear. And with the golf pro shop building, we wanted to kind of capture some of the detail from that main tubular structure, maybe have it be like a story and a half so it's not reading as like the same size and height to still give it a presence.
Remind me again, the second floor in the old part, is that just gonna be open? Is that
Yeah, the
what people
idea is
do?
it would be vaulted.
We would just take out the second floor flooring and just kind of let that be a one big open space. It's kind of the main dining room or that private room, so you can give it some character and have some faux beams or whatever it could be, to kind of make that space special.
Lauren, you said that kitchen would have things on top of the roof, right? Neither of the pictures that you've shown had that. Is it completely hidden?
What?
Are the whatever's on top of the kitchen, would it be completely hidden?
Yeah, from the perspective, you most likely wouldn't see it from the ground.
Can you go back? I think the one before showed kind of the,
Yeah. And this kind of shows, I mean, this angle right here is showing you the corner of like the new dining room. So, you know, we would hide the stuff behind the volume of the house, but you're just gonna have some roof vents and
Yeah.
ventilation. So they're not the prettiest looking things.
And from the parking lot, we have kind of that fence, there's that exterior area that would almost be a temporary, whatever the restaurant would use. Deliverers would probably come in there, you could have pallets and smaller trash bins that get transported. So it's set back and then it's kind of set back again, so we're trying to avoid having, the first thing you see on the approach is mechanical equipment.
Was the bulkhead still in the same spot? that's
No,
coming
we,
out?
I think I might have the floor plans now, I don't have it here. But, no, we have a new, I wish I had a plan. We're proposing a new, interior stair to access the basement,
Oh, okay.
right off that, back of house area.
Yeah, and that, I mean, yeah,
So-
this is kind of still conceptual, but there would be, we proposed that this back half of the building would be kind of full of the basement. So wherever the basement lies, and we're gonna have remote two means egress out, so that would still have to be studied.
and I think we talked the front would be all just waterproofed, I mean, not excavating the basement.
No, right, you're gonna be kind of repairing what needs to be repaired in that front half and then, you know, hopefully just getting it up to the point where you're not gonna have issues with it, and maybe not using it so much other than with storage. But, yeah, no, our thought process was have a new, you know, egress stair that meets the code that deliveries can come into and down, the staff can go up and down and get into the
Yeah.
restaurant back house space at the same time.
If I can just ask a question, Jim, in the front section there, is that where all the pipes and everything are, or is it further back?
So everything comes in through the front of the building. All the utilities, the gas, water, sewer, all comes through this front corner.
So the way you're describing, that's gonna be remaining there with the foundation that's there, so nothing will change at all?
Well, I think we would probably cut and cap it back to where we could get it maybe into the basement and not have that crawl space and issues in the past.
Well, that's what we were talking about with Jim before, was it was very hard, there's almost a crawl space under there for them to get access to.
Yeah, so I would
Utility.
probably propose to stop it, before it goes into this existing building, stop it, extend the lines down into the basement, and just so that when it comes into the basement, it's coming in at workable height.
You're putting a full foundation from where the host is located right there, from their back would be,
Yeah, this kind
Yeah,
of
we show a
yellow
full
line.
basement because, I mean, an 8-foot basement versus a 5-foot crawl space is not a huge
right.
difference in terms of cost. We're already digging out the 5 feet. So currently we show full basement. And that would be something that would be further worked on during the design phase of like, how much space do you actually need? How much utility space do you need? Is it too much space? And are there some areas where you could do a crawl space? But
Because with this layout too, there's not a lot of square footage. It's bad thing. We're showing the kitchen, but there's no equipment in there, or freezers or fridges, so I think we would need some sort of full basement, kind of similar to what they had.
And they'll have that
much better.
refrigeration down there.
Yeah,
Eggs and
storage.
soda and storage, yeah.
Now, the way you described this, because you're gonna be taking the second floor, it's gonna be opened all the way up. Will there be a need for an elevator?
No.
As long as the basement has the same program as the first floor, you shouldn't need an elevator. Storage is storage. If you, usually where it gets tricky is if you're putting something in the basement that's not, so say you wanted a kitchen office. If you just put it in the basement, then you need some sort of complementary office on the first floor so that somebody for accessible needs. You can't just have exclusive
Use
down on different level.
And then I think we had talked about with the other restaurant layout too, that, if the restaurant decided they wanted like a dumbwaiter or something, that could be an option for them to install.
Whoever's coming in there to fit it out would have.
My concern is that if we take the floor out, the laterals side to side, we've taken some of that structure out, well, we've taken all of it out. That helps keep the walls more or less together. And then if we take the ceiling of present second floor out and open it up to the attic, we have to have some way to keep the building from thrusting.
Collar ties or steel
So I'm
collars.
just curious how the extensive work that we have to do, taking all this stuff out to gain just a view of the ceiling or the roof.
Well, I
And
can
there's
tell you that roof right now, all those roof framing members are all undersized. And
That's my surprise.
There's going to be a lot of work just to get it up to code. So you're pretty.
And I think we've talked about it before. This is a nice looking design, but I would almost want to just still take the building down and then just build it back, everything up
Replicate
to
it.
code.
Because we are kind of,
If this is the design we ended up going with,
Yeah.
I think for what we're trying to save, it doesn't make much sense, especially when you get into the roof. There's some rafters up there that literally they're not even, they get cut off and they're just around the chimney there. They just like, oh, this is in the way, and they just cut it. And you start taking that, and if it's undersized also, if you talk about taking it off to have to frame a whole new roof, well, I don't know what we're actually.
Well, it's also just keeping the facade in the front,
Right.
because we're already taking the porch off, in
and
essence, so.
yeah,
right?
and you can tell from looking at photos that porch roof is, it comes down and it slopes in, so there's some structural issues there. And they kind of redid the floor levels and everything on that porch when they closed it, so there's,
And I think also too, to help with cost, we could, and we're gonna get into cost later, but if we were to build a whole new structure there, a lot of that could be prefabbed and, brought in and just assembled. We'll have energy efficiency then and everything. I just don't know why we would try to say that. And that's just my opinion, but if we're gonna go to that extent and rip everything else off, just to keep that little section. And when you think about, everyone's been in the building, that it is a small section, right? Right now it might look a little bigger in the dining room because the porch is part of the dining room, but once that porch comes off, it's not very big.
Well, and to retrofit the rafters for today's, I'm assuming there's an energy code we have to follow for this building.
oh, yeah.
So that roof, I don't know how you get from A to B on that one without a lot of retro. And as much as I like the look of a lot of this, I don't know if I'm in favor of a lot of this. Because I think that the rental on this is going to push us up, which we'll know better when we get some figures.
Well, I think we can move on. I would suggest we move on. Some of us saw it at the select board meeting the other night, so I think the pictures that we saw of the new construction look very different in what.
Oh, then these?
Yeah, with
Yeah,
some
like-
context.
This was kind of flat, the way you didn't see this last time, we saw this Tuesday night, this select
Yeah,
board, we did a review.
We have the second option in renovation now, like in that true context of the golf course. Previously, you've just seen the model view, which kind of was hard to figure out the true scale of the building. And we think in the context, it actually looks a lot more appropriate. I mean, it's still a big building. It is like 100 feet long. And there is room to massage those numbers down through the design phase. We just want to make sure we are including enough space for everything right now. But if a restaurant consultant comes in and says, oh, well, you have a lot of square footage, there's, ways to take.
Well, I think it's something we need
Like
to
that.
consider
Yeah.
as a town too. If we're gonna, be collecting substantial rent on that property, we wanna make sure that the restaurant can make enough money to be in
justify,
business.
yeah.
Right? So, have enough seats
To cover our costs.
Is this, I feel like this would be pretty stark to the town, like to the population of the town if we present this. This is the first time seeing it, so it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction, but I'm not getting the vibe or feel.
We'll keep it, I think if you look at the side view,
Go to this side. This is the approach to the golf shop. And then a look at kind of like that rear deck behind. But we talked, there's ways that we could incorporate, we have this covered like, almost like calling it on the front instead of calling it a porch just so it's, on grade, but we could incorporate some of those items from that first option in the existing building, that porch, into this option is kind of marry the two together a little more if we're interested in getting a lot of that character. And I think we can easily do that. You felt it would really help with the reaction to the new construction option. Kind of pick and choose from these two options, because we did make them a little bit stylistically different, so you see two kind of different ways to go about it. Okay. That's what we have for now, because we haven't really touched the floor plans for this option. I mean, you still have pro shop to the left, bar, casual dining, downstairs, full restaurant space upstairs.
Front door entry for the restaurant?
Yes, front door entry for the restaurant. So you kind of, you can get to every place through the main entry, but this kind of gets you that separate golf pro shop entry facade and side, and then separate entrance for the restaurant.
If one business is closed, the other one can operate completely without the other.
Or could you pull up the floor plan?
I think I might.
it was at the center of the entry back and front, it's really, you can walk straight through there.
Yes.
On grade.
Yes, fully on grade, open, walk straight through, go upstairs, go downstairs if you're somebody who has access to the basement, and kind of get out to them. We just have different stuff on different laptops.
This was the site diagram.
And we didn't take them off, which we should. We show overhead lines, so just ignore these lines, it's all open.
But yeah,
Yeah, so what I was looking for, maybe it's on the next one, Arthur, is just, again, comparatively in terms of square footage and, number of restaurant seats between the two options.
They're pretty close. This one is, I can't read that. 165 and the previous one was 159, compared to the 103 that was existing. And we took the most generous understanding of those numbers, because to calculate them, you kind of need to know what type of seating you have. And we obviously don't know that. And, certain areas aren't going to count, like the back bar space. But without true layouts, you can't get a true, from a floor plan, you can get a true occupancy number, but if it's like best case scenario for both options, you have roughly the same number.
So what is the square footage of the?
this one was gross was Gross square footage with the basements, I think they were both around 11 to 12,000. So
This one's slightly smaller.
yeah, this one was I want to say
So without the basements, like
seven.
So the basements are roughly 5,000, like 500 square feet each, so
Yeah.
you're at like
34 times 2 is
7,000 square feet.
68.
68, 7,000 for each
It's about
house.
7,000 square feet.
So the other one, if I read it correctly, was 56, 67.
Yeah, probably.
And this one's 2,000?
7,000.
Just under 7, yeah.
And the basement on this one is smaller.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the basement on the other option is, I mean, that's kind of like a strong building, so.
Can you go back one slide here to show it where it's overlaid off, like just kind of Yeah, so you think about 100 feet, but if I look at this, is it right that if you looked at it today with the porch on the side, this will actually be smaller?
More compact.
More compact.
Yeah, the red line represents the existing building, and then this out here is the deck.
So if you're looking at it from the rear, the proposed building would be slightly longer than the existing pro shop. But since you've taken that entire front off and pushed everything back, it's further from the street. But it is slightly wider than the front part of that existing house.
If you took this view and rotated it 90 degrees, and you look at the end of the building, it will look similar to what the front of the building looks at the deck.
Yeah.
And you're still gonna fit in, with my poor eyes, that footprint will still fit in pretty close to the red dotted line. I'd almost like to see that as my front look, even if we extend the porch to make it look like the porch is there now, and shorten up or eliminate the porch that's on the putting green sign if you rotate it at 90 degrees going counterclockwise. That's just my thought.
I think it's actually interesting. The only thing I would say is the back porch then becomes a porch that looks like a parking lot, right? The promenade or whatever.
I think you might want to do it, and it might be like a just terms of mirroring, but if you put that like golf pro shop entrance here, you could have the colonnade, the front porch, and you could get your rear deck on the putting green side, so you're still maintaining your views out to the back, out to the green, and then you have like kind of a nice wooded backdrop. It might, it might change the layout of the deck if you wanted to kind of get more deck space looking towards the
Well, if you rotated it
Yeah.
90 degrees, that deck could now be on the kitchen end up over the kitchen.
Yes.
You wouldn't maybe have the same size, but you still have a deck.
Well, you wouldn't have the same views. I mean, what,
You know, I can rotate it and you'd
Yeah.
still look right out into the greens. Right out to the,
well, this one's all in the back. You wouldn't have any view of, like right now, if you sit on that deck, it's a weird deck anyways, but you get the traffic, you get a little bit of the course, but only if you're in those tables right in front, everyone else gets, be the putting green with the.
or you're talking about the dining area. Oh, I was talking about the second panel.
That's what I thought.
Rotate that to the end of the building as you rotate it.
But at the end, you're gonna be looking kind of like the existing deck does now, which you're gonna get the traffic in West Main Street.
No, if you rotated it 90 degrees, that deck
So-
on the back
so
of the
going
building would
across
go on your
this
right,
way.
which will now be on the back where that present deck still is. It'd still be the deck there. It's just you're taking it off of that side of that building, putting it on the end of the building and rotating it.
It'll be smaller.
It'd be a little smaller. I mean, I don't know what the length of that deck is compared to the length of that building. The kitchen, what is called the back of the house. To me, it's the side of the house.
I mean, the building is like
So you wouldn't put the back of the house
40 feet long.
in the back, you know, facing that way. You rotate it, you do it like this, so the dining is still facing the golf course.
Yeah, it's a great capacity.
But
I just like that view from the side of the parking lot as a front view, which is more in keeping with what that original building looks like. It had a better presentation to me. I like the look of it. I would extend the porch line so it gave the effect of the porch line that we have right now, if that's the major consideration for the committee.
I mean, technically, you could wrap that, you know, the deck is on the back of the house now. If you were to rotate it to the right, and the dining facility is all facing the views, you could actually L that deck around and get more outside seating also that way. I just don't know, that's 100 feet. How would that go? Where is it gonna come out to what the existing line is? I mean, where would,
Without a
did we
scale,
lose the
I can
parking
tell you, but if you
lot?
took and visualize just rotating that either left to right or right
Yeah.
to left, it's not gonna come out to the front line of the existing building. And it would fit in front to back, that 100 feet should still fit into that, because it's, to me, it appears, unless this is not to some scale.
No, it's
Um,
just, it's, I
It
think
would
you're
fit
right.
into that. What would change is that on the right-hand side, as it jogs in, that would probably disappear. You wouldn't have that particular look, but I don't care so much on the side. I just like that, the first view you have of this thing from the end. Not that one, but that one.
Agreed, because I'm still stuck, it's not my personal opinion, but I'm still stuck on the view from Main Street. I feel like people are gonna have their pitchforks out for and present that. The new.
Having it look more like this than the 100-foot double, which I like that better than the other.
Can you go back to the front again?
I would like to know why people would think that doesn't fit in the neighborhood. I mean, I think
Just scale.
it's
Just size.
it's a size,
Yeah.
right, the size.
Good, I agree.
I was trying to keep the building size the same, but just rotate it, one way or the other. I just like the view from the back lot on that end of the building. I think it looks a lot like the present building without the full wall.
Well, I think, in order to move this forward, the discussion is, you have something that mimics what we've got right now on a single story, or do you look at building something new where you take advantage of a smaller footprint and build 2 stories? Presumably, that would be more efficient than trying to work around with what we've got in terms of the efficiency of the building. And there's costs associated with each of them.
And we also want to make sure it's attractive to a restaurant
Right.
coming in.
Yeah.
That they're going to feel that way too. So I mean, we really have to keep that in our mind when we're making decisions. And we don't want to build this whole building and then somebody comes in and goes, "Nah, we don't like the space. We don't,
But we're gonna have some of that in this. You're gonna have people
Whatever you
that
do.
don't wanna look because it's not what they're looking for.
Yeah.
What I like about this one too is I actually don't mind this one and kind of do something with it. What you say, you kind of have the 2 mirrors of like the
I agree, and that was one of my original concerns.
But I like the front entrance. I like the fact that you think you walk in, I think you could make it that you actually look right up to the golf course through. It's going to be open except for the stairway, and it would be a nice entranceway there. What I like about this too is I like, irregardless if we put more parking in, I think parking is good. But if you made that green, I mean, setting it back more from the road, I like that too. So it's not, right now it's right on, pretty much right on top of the road. I like it set back.
Because it's set back, you can start to see the glimpse of all of the hills, and you're like, wow, this is, I think I'm here.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going.
So could I just, back to my original question, I saw some square footages on the floor plan.
Yes.
So I just want to be clear that this square footage is cost.
Yes.
So not this one, the other. The second floor, no, the other one.
We have them on both first floors.
Okay, so here I see 5766 square feet proposed occupancy, 154. Is that accurate?
These are from that first, when it was accurate with this floor plan, and then as we did our building massing, we kind of massaged the floor plans just for some of those building elements to show. So the ones on the floor plans are the accurate to what
The the renders.
was, to the renders and what was.
We were just showing
estimated.
on Tuesday, because they haven't seen anything, this is
Yeah.
essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
We came up with site plans, this is the organization, and then when we got into the elevations, we started to do some of these jigs and jogs to have the volumes pronounced, so it's kind of an evolution.
Yeah, we just wanted to
This
show
is
the selection of what options were chosen and then how that option.
have evolved.
This isn't meant to be critical in any
Yeah.
way, but you went from 5,700 square feet to 7,000 square feet. That's a significant Yeah. Theoretically, the new building should be more efficient than the old building, so it just seems like maybe this has gotten a little.
The original building with all the additions, about 7,000 square feet?
I think so.
72 seems to be sticking in my head.
And I think we have a lot of space in that, I mean, we show extra space for the cost estimate just because we've not
The
putting
existing building is 8,000.
equipment in.
Yeah,
But we
and that
have room to
includes
massage.
2,700 of basement. So
Okay.
the 4,700 plus 14 is about 61. So 6,100 was the first and second floor of the existing building.
So I'm concerned, and again, I agree with what Jim said. The key element is what's going to make the revenue for the restaurant, but I'm also recognizing that the second option is the building's starting to get bigger. And, there's programmatic advantages, I'm sure, to that as well as aesthetic, but I'm wondering from a cost standpoint, that extra 1,000 square foot is costing something.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you want to talk about building costs or restaurant? So these are hot off the press, came in last night, so haven't really,
there's still kind of draft, there's still
and
things we have to,
like anything these days, it's so conceptual at this point. I'm just trying to warn you guys.
Long wind up.
Yeah.
I mean, is it? Yeah.
So let's just get in there. And there's a big breakdown of each of these, but new construction about 7.3, renovation about 8.2. That includes escalation costs of construction starting in fall of 25. That includes 10% design contingency. That includes, I think the buildings were right around 5 each. And then there was kind of all these factors. But I don't know how far you want to go into.
I feel like we could go into a little.
Yeah,
There's a breakdown of each number.
We get back to that top one, this, and I am not an expert here, but if I look at gross flare square, the renovation's bigger than the new construction.
that includes basement. Yeah.
It's basement. We just showed full basement. That might be edited down if it's a lot of area that might not be needed. We kind of did
I think
like
the
Next
next
is a
level
bigger
down.
footprint.
What's
yeah,
up?
we
I think
did
the next level down will have.
Yeah.
everything, the biggest kind of now and then. If with each option, they can always be condensed.
So this is the new construction. The total cost about $5 million for basically the building and the site work and all-in costs, and then you've got the general contractors. We don't know. I think we told them to assume the
Yes.
public bid,
Public bid process,
prevailing wage, and all that fun stuff. And then you see that just escalation for midpoint of construction. So there's a lot of things that are unknown. Within that $5 million, I think, is the design contingency, which is about 10%. So that's $500,000 right at the top.
I think that's on the bottom there.
It's very design estimated.
Oh yeah.
600 and the escalation allowances of 500,000.
So does that include, does that assume that some of the fit up is going to be done by the restaurant?
It does, yeah.
And then does it include, I don't see it in an OPM.
I do not think it includes that, yeah. I mean, it is, and we can share this, there's a further breakdown of by line item of where all these numbers come.
And we haven't had a chance to go over that with him yet. But just kind of going and making sure he's like, it's a 30-page document, but it goes by trade and then what's kind of considered that. But
And I will say one of the differences, the new construction option is priced as prefab.
Yeah.
Just to provide kind of a square footage cost for that option, and then the renovation addition, all the wood framing, and exterior sheeting and window insulation is put in there as normal trades. So stick built on site, so you get a square footage cost for that versus prefab.
How do you
New construction includes demolition.
Yes,
Yes.
both.
Both include.
And
Yeah.
abatement and demolition.
And that's that existing conditions cost, the hazmat.
So I think, well, you want to talk about restaurant consultants too, but I think ultimately, this is the construction portion of this.
Yeah.
This doesn't include all the soft costs. I don't know if EFE has a proposal today in terms of what their design fee would be to take the next step, but that's certainly, as we consider what our options are to go to town meeting with something. I think Christie had mentioned OPM and a restaurant consultant. One idea would be to have BFA include the restaurant consultant as part of their services as well as the design going forward. I don't know where you are on any of that stuff.
So we've kind of put the feelers out there for our consultants that we're just in anticipated. Yeah, we've started to gather, put these drawings to some of our usual engineers, and they're giving us feedback. So I think we could have something by
Next week.
end of next week for what it would cost for our team, which would include all the engineers, fire protection, mechanical, civil site,
landscape architect,
kitchen.
Do you think there would be a major difference in terms of your design fee of one option versus the other?
I think the renovation would be more just because of all the retrofit details that we'd have to do, but some of that gets offset by the site civil. I mean, I think it's in the ballpark, whether it's reno. It wouldn't be necessarily architectural, would be a little bit more for us, but it might be less for site civil because you don't have to redesign a parking lot.
Yeah, right, the new construction option offers a full parking lot that has to be designed and installed. So,
If we decide not to do anything, just leave that as grass.
right, you could take that out. Yeah,
And obviously, looking at the new construction versus the renovation, you're gonna run into many, many change orders. You're gonna find things that come up afterwards. New construction, it's gonna be built as a prefab, it's gonna come in, it's gonna be built on site brought in from offsite.
And one of the things I think we took into consideration with the new construction is we had the prefab manufacturer, we had a call with the cost estimator to understand so we're not double dipping on the cost of saying, well, we're providing a sheet, we're providing air barrier, is that we think it would save about 2 to 3 months of construction time, which allows your general contractors anytime, as long as the project's going on, they're getting the overhead and all that profit and just being on site. So
new construction, you shrink the time.
correct.
Do you have an idea of what that time is? I mean, somehow you've got to figure it into your figures.
I believe.
Renovation, approximate time frame.
Yeah.
New construction.
Yeah, we assumed a year for the renovation. But that also doesn't, we're also not including full fit out of the restaurant. It would be, I think the temperature is getting some of the infrastructure in place for it. So having a kitchen layout, so the duct exhaust equipment is already in place. So a year for the renovation and about 10 months for the new construction. If you're not fitting out, we're only fitting out finishes for the pro shop and life safety, emergency lighting, stubbing up plumbing to the second floor or wherever the bathrooms are for the restaurant. Let that fit out toilets. Those are all decisions that kind of where our drawings draw the line of what's owned by the town and what's owned by a tenant.
That's what the restaurant consultant.
Yes.
Is it more, do we fit out toilets? Do they fit out?
What is, yeah, they can say like what's the standard that they see in most leases for like new construction, right? Because somebody's going into a space, but what they think would be the most attractive to get something in there. And we had a good talk with some restaurant consultants, which I believe we worked with Gibbet Hill in Groton.
So this is a proposal from a restaurant consultant of kind of what they would bring to the table. And we talked with them a little bit on the, just giving them their layout of what their initial thoughts were and whatnot.
Yeah,
So,
giving them an overview of the two building options, letting them see kind of the design spaces.
so they put together a preliminary design fee of what they would take, what we've given them so far, and kind of lay out a kitchen and a seating chart, and really put some thought into is it a back house kitchen? Is it an open kitchen? Is there this dining? How do all these spaces interact? And what's going to bring in an attractive restaurant to come out? They would site survey what you've got existing. Is any of that equipment?
Take that off the top.
Get rid of one.
But yeah, just and then from there they would work with us to just come up with some layouts and say, is this viable? Do we need more square footage? Actually, you've got all that basement. We can keep all the fridges down. The operations of it. One of the comments was the other night was on the new construction. You've got the kitchen on the right side, and I know early on we were like, well, what about trucking? That's going to be a far. You don't want people crossing over each other. Do all deliveries come in at 6 in the morning? Is that an issue? So these are the questions that they would help us figure out logistics, and do we have the right orientation of some of these programs? And then additionally, they also are able to help potentially with finding a restaurant to come and lease a space. They help write the proposal. They can do off their conceptual seating layout with the kitchen and their kitchen people, so they can also figure out how much kitchen equipment it costs if that's a number that wants to be carried. But also do profit and loss projections. So you've got 100 seats. They can project you're going to make $570 a night net on the restaurant, and then how does that relate to time, and then whether you guys, in the big picture, how do you figure out how this is getting paid for and whatnot. So they have that knowledge base that would probably be valuable to you guys.
Yeah, I think if they're creating a schematic floor plan and kitchen plan, and then two, creating a profit and loss for that plan, that could be something that could be attached to a RFP, and really provide a sense of like, okay, this is a space, somebody just come in and fit it out, and they can see if it would work for them or not work for them. And then they can also, like, as they say, help with determine what rents might work for that space, and they have a lot of connections. Could also help market the RFP around to people they thought might be a good fit.
So Al, if it's okay, I have to head to another meeting, but I wanted to just jump in. So for if you didn't watch the select board meeting, the select board has decided to go to town meeting with a request for just the design work for the community center at this point. And so that will bring that project, if approved, it would bring that project to full bid documents, which is what the library did. So if you remember in annual meeting, the library got money to go to full design. They anticipate coming to the next annual town meeting for construction. So I guess the question for this committee is, and I think this is where we're headed, is do we want to go to the October town meeting to ask for full design to get you to the same place? I think we do, because I'm not sure that any other step would be that effective. And then that would include, so we would need a quote from you, just we'll have to look through that more. The food service consultant, and we have to bring on an OPM. So, and then we need to figure out, how much is paid through the enterprise fund and not. So, if this committee decides, actually, you just wrote your article, so we'll but if that's where you want to go, that's just so everyone knows that's what the community center article looks like too. It's to just get through full design. One of the things that we included, the select board was very clear that they wanted to be clear to town meeting, is that design money will also include some additional public engagement. So I don't know, so that's something that we might want to talk about, whether or not you want that specific language in the article. If there's additional public engagement that we want to add.
And I think that I was personally, just jump in, I mean, I think public engagement is key to getting this approved through the stages, so putting that in I think is important. I think it's what we want, and we want more public engagement throughout the process. You never will eliminate all second guessing, but you've given the opportunity on multiple occasions for the public to comment, give their ideas, yay, nay. I think that's always important.
Chrissy, when do we need to have the solid numbers for town meeting?
So technically, you don't need it until you make the motion on town meeting floor. I think what everyone appreciates is that it gets into the warrant when it closes, which is October 1st. So.
And being on the AFC, I know they would prefer to have it before October 1st. Yes.
Is that feasible for BFE to put that together for us?
Yeah, I think by the end of next week, we could have that ready.
So if we meet in 2 weeks, that will give us enough time to act on the amount. We can solidify what we're going to be requesting on the floor of the town meeting.
And we can send that before too.
Okay.
Don't wait till 2 weeks. Once we're ready, we can give it to Jim, and Jim can distribute it as necessary.
Now, does that include OPM, or is that something we do separately?
I assume that we're gonna have to figure out. Our OPM for the community center is giving us a quote for that article. I think that we would probably base that quote on, because it's pretty similar, the construction costs.
It's a typical percentage.
Yeah, so we'll
10%
probably just use
usually?
that number and base it and add it to this.
2 or 3%.
Yeah, and just so, the public knows too, we talk about this in select board, anything, it's roughly $1 million, anything above that, we need to have an OPM, so we know whatever decision we make here, it's gonna require an OPM, so might as well bring it
Either
on.
option is well above that, so we do have to go.
And it makes sense to bring it on now.
Right. So that's something that Shop would have to draw up a RFP for.
Yeah.
So
But I'm happy after we get money.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, I just wanted to add, so just since last meeting, we've had meetings with bond council to understand, I know that it's come up before on like the public-private use, so public-private partnership, but also using municipal bonds and having private use. And so bond council, I just sort of generally, I'll say that bond council really understands this project and feels that we would be able to move forward using municipal bonds, given some of the other projects that we're bonding or planning.
So I was just going to comment, and I think this is the most important thing for me. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but if you read the last paragraph there, I think there's two issues, cost and what's going to be best for a restaurant. It seems pretty clear to me that a new building is the preferred option from the restaurant consultant.
Yeah.
And I just think, I'm giving my opinion now, I like the existing building. I appreciate the historical importance of this. I think we need to consider a 2-story building where the efficiencies of the footprint, the operation, and to me, to create a 2-story space in an existing building, it's nice, but you're not getting a lot for an awful lot of costs. So whether we, as Jim or Pete said, we turn it flat to the golf course or sideways to the street, I think our recommendation, or my recommendation, would be to proceed with a 2-story option. And we can figure out from the site plan standpoint which way we go and how we can make it fit in with the community. It sure seems like there's an awful lot of advantage as to opposed to creating some of the buildings in town where you have a two-story station and the upper area is not used for anything.
With someone with a Dr. Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what can we expect from you at our next meeting?
Well, we can kind of wrap everything we've presented kind of in one document or a couple of documents, whether or not we want to. Yeah, I think we owe you in our, just the existing conditions of the old building. We studied an option, we came together with a renovation option, we came together with a new construction option. Kind of similar to what we cycled through the plans and the renders. This is what it could be, this is what it would look like, this is the cost. So just kind of a summary of the feasibility study and our findings.
Right, and so we're gonna go back and obviously finalize the cost estimation with our cost estimator. And we're gonna owe you a package of the floor plans we developed, the elevations we developed, the rendered views we developed, all finalized and polished, and then, some of these proposals.
So do we want them to, a proposal for both options, or do we want a proposal for the preferred option at this point? Doesn't sound like there's going to be a big difference between the two. Might help them.
We've been operating that the overall number will be kind of in the same ballpark, whether it comes from an engineer or us. So
Yeah, there's a couple areas where it's very different for the scope of the engineer who's bidding on it, and they just, said, well, we'll put a line item in,
Okay.
cover the cost, and if that item's not used, then cross out the line item, and it's, depending on which option is.
We'll just kind of operate as this is what it would cost to design full bore from picking up where we left off and making more adjustments and then through to construction at the end. So kind of our full gamut.
Well, I think just make sure you break it down between what's required for the design phase now versus construction later.
Yeah.
We'll only commit to the first.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we will, yeah.
So do you want us to at least put a placeholder for CA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we'll want to see the total cost of the project. It's important to have that.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll only be off.
Oh yeah, we'll break it down. Yep.
Yeah, the solid numbers are definitely going to be needed for the next week, so that we can represent it to the FinCom and also for Chrissy to prepare for the town.
Do you want a motion at this time that that's the way we want to move forward, or do we?
Sure.
Yeah,
Hey, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I would move that we move forward as Christie recommended with the next phase of the foundation. Yeah, for full design, food service consultant, OPM.
well, the OPM, we gonna handle that.
Yeah, but we want the funding for it. Yeah, we'll handle that, but we want that in our correct?
And that would include some public engagement as far as, correct you folks.
Do we have a second to that motion?
Okay.
Right, okay, any further discussion on that?
I don't know if this is the time to discuss it, but if we eventually end up with the new building, I personally think the porch, if you go back, rotate that building one, I don't like any building that has a porch that comes to the complete edge. You have corner boards on either side. I know this is a little area, but I gotta get it off. I'm gonna forget about it and then whatever.
This is the builder speaking here.
Yeah.
But I like the hip roof on either end, but I like to step it inside the corner board. These are wide decorative corner boards. And you're going around a porch roof out there, you're separated, and it doesn't look right. To me, it looks like an afterthought. If I were designing that, I would pull it to the inside. I'm not trying to save money, I'm just looking at that's right, an aesthetic perspective. And if this is what is going to show to the street, I want it to be it looks better than way back when, but I would like to clip the roof and set everything back, at least inside the corner boards.
On the porch.
On the porch. I just think
Yeah, we can make that change.
if you're gonna rotate the building, if it were to be rotated, then I would want to change this porch to be minimal at best and make it on the end, if it rotates to the front of to the street line. And that, I want the porch now to go all the way to clip the edges and stay inside the corners. That's just my little thing. Thank you very much. I
Any
appreciate the
further
time.
discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 16 present. I would ask though, if with the numbers that you come up with, if you could release that to Jim as soon as possible,
Yep.
so that all the members will be able to
Of course.
look it over and see
Yep.
what the next meeting will be prepared to go forward.
Yeah, we should have that by end of week.
And Al, if it's okay with the board, and I don't know if there's anybody interested, but I'd be interested in seeing the backup of all the numbers once.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If we could break it down for us.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much all we have for the DFE. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
I will say they did a great job at the select board meeting tonight. A great presentation. Very good.
Yeah, they're seem very happy and
Yeah.
very excited, so.
Yeah, I mean, just for those who didn't see it, I think, while we didn't take any votes, the discussion, if I was to keep watching anything, that new construction, what was the one that they favored, talked a lot about that deck out back, just a question about can you make that
Deck
deck bigger, kind of wider, a little narrow. And then probably the most discussion was brought up is the big difference between the two design renovation is where you put kind of that area where you can put trash barrels and pallets and that stuff. And right now that would be on the putting green side, and how would you maneuver getting stuff around? I mean, the dumpster's still gonna stay, I think, where it is on the other side of the parking lot, but how do you, is it feasible, whatever? I mean, I don't know in that design, you can't really put it where the pro shop is, so it's, maybe if you did it, that you could do a cutout, I don't know. But
I mean, most deliveries, when the Civic was open, like you said, it was 6 in the morning, the trucks would come and bring the food and
they were going right down the bulkhead.
yeah, and then usually their trash would, when the restaurant closed at the end of the night, that's when they're gonna, so there wasn't really a great public presence when all that all happened. And I would imagine it would be the same, if that makes sense.
Don't have a difference from what you're using to
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little problematic. People crossing or people pulling in. And,
This is great, thank you very much.
very good.
All right.
Okay, we do have one,
We can talk later on.
Just wait.
we have one invoice. It's $30,915 for DFE Architects. We have a motion to pay this bill.
I move to pay.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. I don't think we have anything further. The next one is the Regional Emergency Communication Center. I did speak with Chief Purcell. I know they were, they had a meeting yesterday. I believe they were gonna choose, I believe it was an OPM architect for the project. I haven't heard anything further, but hopefully at the next meeting we'll be brought up to speed on what's happening there. Community Center, I know with Jen, she's still here? You have anything you want to address with that, Jen?
She's gone.
She gone?
Oh,
Okay.
I think the big thing with Christie said is what the board decided to do was go, as Christie explained, same direction we're kind of going here. That at one point we were thinking we could get to the point where we would be asking for, to make this move along, but the decision we made was I think the right decision. I think similar here to ask for the design funds and then come back in March, maybe, or hopefully in March, to town meeting.
I guess my only comment here is design funds to do what option? The design, way design firms like to price things is a percentage of the overall cost. We've got costs ranging from 15 to 25 million. The design fee is depending on where that's headed.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I probably shouldn't speak because I don't know, but I think it was preferred option was that where the design would go off of. I don't know which dollar amount that there's still some things, as you know,
Right,
in
right.
there, there's a lot of those dollars are around things that are, I'll call them maintenance type stuff, roof, new HVAC equipment, upgrading to electric, and that's, somewhere in the vicinity of $4 to $6 million from those numbers. So somebody should pull that stuff out. That's a discussion to have. That's not part of the way up
Yeah.
the building.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I can find out. We can find out more. I don't want to be
No, I
off the record, even though it's on TV. I don't know the number. It's a great question.
No.
All right,
My friend Karen, come on.
the oldest, we have the Forbes building closeout. We still don't have everything right now. I've talked to Christie. There's still litigation with the general contractor in the town. So hopefully we'll have something relatively soon on that.
So, Ian and Al, I don't know if it's appropriate, and I know we don't want to discuss things in a public meeting, but I would like to understand better, me personally, as a member of this committee, how big of an issue is it? What's our goal to, what's our strategy to bring it to conclusion? Because it's been a long time.
We have this discussion, yeah. I think to me it's close. It's I think it will work out. It'll all work out fine again for the town, but it's just that final piece of
Who's the town using those council?
KP Law. We'll have lost.
I think we
Especially as municipal, I mean,
right.
they do it for a number of cities and towns here in Massachusetts.
Maybe we can ask Christie, she can check with council, see what can be discussed that won't jeopardize the town with our position on the litigation.
Or it's litigation, maybe something for our next meeting, we can talk to, it might be something we can go into executive session.
Right.
Because it is,
Okay.
it's still in
Yeah,
litigation, so.
that'd be great. I mean, the fact that we're in litigation discussion, but we are where we are.
Litigation in the broad sense,
I understand.
yes.
Is it pre-litigation or litigation at this point?
Pretty.
When? I know.
Yeah, as I said, it's a broad
Yeah,
sense of
yes, I
when I
hear
say
you.
litigation, it's not,
Yeah.
we're not in court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just was wondering, to go back when we were talking about communities, when do we get involved with that project? When are we gonna get information? I mean, we really, other than a little overview here, we don't get anything, what's going on. When do we get something? Because are we gonna, I
Yes.
keep asking, we are gonna be the ones involved in overseeing the construction,
Yes.
demolition, remodeling?
Yeah, my understanding is, yes, we talked about this a little bit, Christie is better served to speak to it, but I think with the decision we just made to go to this next phase, that will still stay on the select board for the design, but I think as this goes forward, we'll transition it over to this. And the plan is still going to come to this committee, it's just,
No, and I'm just curious because, we're talking about a lot of things that are gonna go on and other than what I get here, I don't watch TV, so I don't know what's being discussed at other committee hearings and things.
yeah, what I was saying, the big piece in why, when we talked, say, the select board is a little bit different than this, but what we saw from going through the last round that we did charrettes this past week, and some other public forums, is that there's still a lot of discussion, questions on costs that are like this today, very preliminary. So going to this next phase, we know that we need a lot more public engagement, and that's really where the select board wants to.
And I'm fine with all of that, I keep wondering when we're gonna start seeing stuff on this.
Yeah.
Because I don't go to the hearings and stuff like that. I'm curious if we're gonna be responsible for putting block A
Well, I
and
think we're
block B,
still-
I wanna know
We're
about it.
still quite a ways out on any type of construction there, that, it's not like they're gonna start taking down partitions and walls. 'Cause, we're still a ways away
Yeah.
from that.
Well, we're sitting on this committee discussing exactly that, what's gonna happen at the country club, and yet we're not discussing what's gonna happen down here. I don't know if that's because we haven't determined what we're gonna do down there.
Correct. That's the piece.
And so when that's determined, they're also gonna have determined what they want the walls taken down, and I don't know what our involvement at that point. It's just, I don't care who does it. If we're gonna do it, I just like to have information to look at.
Is there any logic to having a presentation to this committee at our next meeting by the design team?
Or maybe even just the OPM, you know,
Or
to
OPM.
kind of fill us in on.
Yeah, whether it's the next meeting or the meeting after that, I think we can do, I mean, the only reason I said the meeting after that, I think ours is gonna be pretty chock full with some of the stuff we're gonna get back. So maybe the next one, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Can you talk to,
on that.
maybe talk to Christine on that?
OPM for the community center.
Very quick one. Well,
Oh, you
it's-
picked one.
we already have one that's been working with us.
All
On
right,
that.
so we'll be working with them. Okay.
The OPM is great.
Oh, no, I just was curious, because we normally, for all these other projects, we hire the OPM.
Is there anything further that needs to be discussed? Seeing none, we need to call for the next meeting. Is everybody available on September 26th at 8 a.m.? That's a Thursday. Seeing no objections, that will be our next meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
October 25th?
No, it's, September 26th.
Oh. I got the wrong one.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. Okay, all those in favor? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.